So today I'm cutting out fabric for two different dresses from the same pattern. There's going to be a white one and then one that's kind of Halloween-y, and I'm just going to call it the orange one. This was my first try at making a time lapse, and I learned that the camera could have been in a better position. There's also going to be some awkward cuts where I took footage out of my butt taking up like most of the frame. Don't pin my pattern pieces unless they're very small. So here I'm using water bottles as weights, but cans of food would work too. Anything smallish and heavy, definitely not my cat. Doesn't sit still, tends to attack scissors. I'm using the exact same fabric for the lining of each bodice. I've used this fabric for another dress that I made, so the edges aren't even. Like, it's not a nice rectangle of fabric. So when you're doing that, make sure that you check before you start cutting that there are two full layers underneath your pattern piece. There could be a little like chink missing out of the side of one because of the ragged edge on the other side, and I cannot even tell you how many times I have cut out pattern pieces thinking I had two full ones and then having the bottom one missing a massive piece, and it's just so wasteful. So just double check. So here I'm cutting the back pieces. The fabric is folded and I'm going to cut straight down the fold because I find that easier than placing the pattern piece a little ways away from the fold and then trying to get a nice straight cut on that folded edge. And it usually works out pretty good. That pattern piece blended in with the fabric so well, I couldn't figure out what it was doing for a second. But yeah, here we are, we're just going along and we're gonna cut out two sets of every piece for the two different dresses that we're making. There I'm cutting down the fold at the fold this side for the center back again. And I think we're finished cutting out the lining, which is nice. This is the white fabric that I'm using. It's a little transparent. I'm gonna make a 2-layer skirt because there wasn't enough of the lining fabric to cut skirt pieces. And I also wanted to make one of the skirts a little longer than the other one because the pattern that I'm using, the skirt is a little shorter than I'd like. I'm probably going to get around to fixing it one day, but for now I'll probably just make a note on the pattern's envelope that I have to alter it and do it next time I use the pattern. Yeah, so I'm not measuring when I put those skirt pieces on. I'm just eyeballing about 3 inches longer than the edge of the pattern piece. It's really unexact, and I'm imagining that when I pin them together to sew them later, it's not going to line up at all. But I mean, it might. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I can't believe that edge became unwrinkly. I tried for a long time there to get it to be all solid or all straight. All I had to do was pull on the fabric a bit at the top. Give it a shake. Very nice. So there I am again, eyeballing out that 3 inches. And here I'm trying to find a piece that's gonna fit in this little weirdo area, which I cut out, and it went fine. You just couldn't see it because I was entirely in front of the camera at that point. You can tell how see-through this fabric is if you look at the piece of it that's closest to the bottom of the screen. It's kind of darker than the stuff further away, and that's because it's just one layer of fabric there instead of 2. Right away here I'm going to start wishing that I had done all the skirt pieces first and then done the bodice pieces, because they're much smaller. Because we run into this situation where I ran out of fabric but had one more skirt piece that I had to cut out, and the only way to do it was to have it perpendicular, like the pattern piece perpendicular to the grain. All of the other pattern pieces were cut on the grain, as standard practice. Because the fabric is so stretchy, those skirt pieces are likely to hang differently than the rest of the skirt, and I'm imagining it's going to be really noticeable. Ideally, all of the pattern pieces should be cut on the same grain. So now I'm going to repeat the entire process with the bodice pieces for the orange fabric. Congratulations if you made it this far with the audio on. I can't imagine this is terribly interesting for most people, but I thought it'd be a fun project. And honestly, cutting out this part of this dress, I think it turned out the best video-wise. You can really see what I'm doing, which is, well, it was the entire goal. So yeah, now I have 95% of the cutting finished for this dress. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a lovely day.